Module 2, Sociological Research Methods. Sociological research can be used in many ways in order to help understand the world. It shows how people are impacted by society. This can help improve the world.
Some methods of social research include ethnography, which is the study of a small group of people, and is used to practice microsociology. Participant observation, when the sociologist participates in what he's studying, gives non-skewed results because he has first-hand experience.
And now for a commercial break.
Buy one of these
and get one of these California pomegranates. We went out into the field to test these methods,
and here's what we discovered.
Politics with Ariana Walczyk. We interviewed kids around Penfield High School and asked them questions about today's world. The first question we asked was, is sex before marriage wrong? Out of 50 underclassmen, only 5 said yes, that it was wrong. 43 said no, it's not wrong. 1 stressed that it was only okay if the person has consent. Another one was just not sure. Out of 39 upperclassmen, 31 said no, it is not wrong. And 1 student clarified that it's not wrong unless it's between homosexual people. 8 students said yes, it is wrong. The second question we asked was, do you trust the government in DC to do the right thing? Out of 43 sophomores, 25 said no, 16 said yes, and 2 did not believe they were qualified to answer the question. Out of 17 upperclassmen, 11 said yes, 4 said sure, and 27 said no, they don't trust the government. Many students, when asked, said that they did not trust the government because Donald Trump is in the race and he is doing well in the polls, and that makes them feel very insecure about our government. Thank you.
Although everyone had to answer yes or no, some people had stronger opinions. For example, when asked, is sex before marriage wrong? One person stated, hell no, sex is great. Practice makes perfect. And another person said, yes, if he ain't gonna put a ring on it, he ain't gonna get it.
When asked if they trust the government, one person said no because 1984, in reference to the book by George Orwell. Another person replied yes, just because we have good leaders trying to help, despite sometimes making the wrong decisions.
And now, over to our social butterfly.
And trend expert, Adah.
Hi, I'm Adah Brophy, your trends expert. Do you know what's trending today? Brands are trending today. And just like you, we wanted to know why. So we went out into the field and surveyed some people to find out why brands were trending. When asking high school students, we found that brands were trending based on what other people thought were stylish. People wanted to wear what they thought celebrities or their peers found good looking. So that had a lot to do with the brands they were wearing. However, when we asked adults, they cared a lot more about functionality and cost of the brands they were wearing. They wanted brands that would last a while and also stay in good conditions, so that way they could get more use out of them. Although this is trend time, we also have to address more somber topics, like homelessness. We wanted to know what our viewers thought could fix the issue of homelessness in America. So we asked them. When asking a younger demographic, we got a lot of shorter answers, such as building homeless shelters or perhaps just giving them some soup. When asking older people, though, we got a more thought-out answer having to do with perhaps raising minimum wage or providing more job opportunities for them to live with. So, as you can see, trends, both good and bad, are very important in society today. Thank you, and now on to Sam Ron.
The weather with Sam Ron. It's a little cloudy today in U City, and this is because many teens in high school are very unsure of their thoughts. When interviewed about what to do about the problem of homelessness in America, many teens responded with very short explanations of what they would do that wouldn't really solve the problem. Many said just to provide homeless shelters and free food for those in need, although this doesn't really help the whole problem of homelessness. Another question they were asked was what brands they wear and why. Many teens said that they wore what they wore because of celebrities and other people and just what they thought looked good. Another question teens were asked was, is sex before marriage wrong? And many teens answered very quickly what their answer was. Not many people thought too long about it. Most of the boys answered no, that it's not wrong, and a lot of them tended to look at each other before answering or after answering, and they just seemed to do it more as a group and thought more about what everyone else was going to answer before they answered themselves. And a lot of people chose to wait to answer until their friends answered because we interviewed high schoolers in a group setting. And so a lot of people just answered based on what other people said, maybe not totally on what they thought. And another question that they were asked was, do you trust your government? And many of them was the same thing, that they tended to answer what other people answered. They didn't really think too much about what they said. They thought more about just maybe what others were saying. Oh no, I don't trust my government because they keep a lot of secrets and they're not trustworthy, and just a lot of things you hear about people saying that the government's not trustworthy more than what they actually thought. Despite that, it's very clear in Adultropolis. Many of the adults that were interviewed thought very hard about what they said before they answered. A lot of them, when asked what brands they wore and why, said they wore them for more practical purposes, that they wanted something that would last a long time for a cheap price, that they bought something on sale, and just more for functionality, versus the teenagers that wanted what was cool and didn't really care too much about the price. We didn't hear as much about that as we did with the adults, and I think that's because a lot more adults are more cautious about how they spend their money, whereas teenagers just don't think as much as adults do, and they would just want what everyone else wants. And then another thing that the adults said about sex before marriage was that there was a lot more opposition to it in the adults than to the teens. The adults tended to give a lot more lengthy answers than the teenagers did. Teenagers just tended to say, yes, because it's not really that big of a deal. One kid said that it's okay because it's quick. Or just multiple things that weren't really that thought through. It was just that it's okay because there's no reason that's not okay. Whereas a lot of adults gave more lengthy answers, as in why it is okay or it isn't, because of things like religion or values and things like that. Another question that the adults answered was the trust in government, and they tended to also give a lot more specific answers than the teenagers did. That's why there was Sam Rock. Thanks for
Well, that was a really interesting. Thank you, Sam. As we can see, generations often have differing opinions. This is shown in Generations X, Y, and Z by Dwayne Allwyn.
Ada discussed how brands influence decisions as exhibited in Between a Hard Rock and Postmodernism by Kurt Borchardt.
And we also addressed the issue of homelessness, which is the topic of Sidewalk, a documentary by known sociologist Mitchell Denier. Thank you for watching Sociolograves now.
Now, what did you just get up in
This has been Jessica Burt and Carina Fess and all the others. Bye.